And welcome back to Sleep Well. Today we got a little treat for you, a little tasty treat. I'm posting a new video this week before the main one because we came across the story while we were practicing reading for the story that we'll post on Saturday, and it was just a diamond. It was literally a gem. We found it by accident. We were just looking through r/no sleep. It came up, and it's so interesting. It's really good. I like it a lot. Andrea likes it a lot, and I decided to go ahead and post it. The story is by fake_bruh on Reddit, and it's posted on r/no sleep. There's two parts. The first part is I'm a 911 operator. Early this morning, I got a call from myself. And then the second part is I'm a 911 operator. Yesterday, my coworker got a call from herself. So two parts just came out. It's literally brand new. They just wrote it a day ago, on June 15th, 2015. Just in case you guys are watching this video way down the line. And it's good. I like it a lot. I've even put the notifications on for this author, so when they post, I can see the next update. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get to the video. Welcome back to Sleep Well. Came in a little bit strong there. We're doing another practice story before we get to the main one. And who knows, maybe we like the story and we do the other parts. But this one is called I'm a 911 operator. Early this night, I got a call from myself by fake_bruh on no sleep. r/no sleep. It's a series. So I'm gonna go ahead and start here so we can get our voices warmed up, a little bit of a practice. Go ahead. You can start first.
Okay. I'm not sure how smart giving out personal information is after something I thought could only happen in movies actually happened. But I'm scared about what this could all mean, and I want people to hear and know about this if something happens to me. I assure you, I am not on medication, suffer from no mental illnesses, and have no trauma of any kind, and anything else you might think of. I am a completely average person living a completely average life. I was, up until now.
That's funny. They're like, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. My name is Marielle. I'm from a small town in Georgia where everyone knows each other, and I work as a 911 operator. My family is in a rural town, out of state, and I haven't spoken to them about this yet, out of fear that whatever's going on might somehow affect them too, if I get them involved. Yesterday I began my night shift the same way I do every evening. Most of the time I get low priority calls, and a few times pranks, and since I've been doing this for a few years now, I'm grown quite good at discerning what's an actual concerning call. The shift was rather tame up until I got what I thought was a prank call. 911, what's your emergency?
I spoke into the phone after returning my cup of coffee back on the desk and readjusting myself.
Someone's outside my house. They've been looking around my yard and windows for the past 2 minutes.
It was a woman on the other end, her voice familiar ever since the first few words, but I couldn't quite place it yet. She spoke very fast. It was obvious how nervous she was about this. No surprise there, I would be too.
I thought it was some friend, but I don't know this person, and they look off. Okay, ma'am.
Nudging my chair closer to the desk as I begin typing on the computer. Jesus, sorry, my words. I asked the lady another question in the meantime.
Can you give me your address and tell me if you can see if the person's armed? Yeah. I'm the yellow house at blank.
The woman continued, but I admit I didn't listen. She had just given my house address. I stopped my fingers in the middle of writing and sighed, thinking this must be one of my friends. We're a small bunch and very mischievous. I can't say that. Towards each other. Sort of out of character for our age, I must admit. but I've said numerous times how serious prank calling 911 can be for people.
Who is this? You know how badly this can end for you, right?
I reached for my coffee cup, rolling my eyes and held my hand ready to hang up the call, but she continued.
What? I don't get it. I'm serious. Please, don't hang up.
She retorted in a tone that caught me off guard, and then again after a second she returned to the previous, somewhat panicked attitude.
I'm sorry, but this isn't a joke. Please, I'm afraid for what this person might do. Okay, ma'am.
I put the cup back on the desk and was ready to prolong this call enough of an extent to either make this woman face the consequences for holding the line. What bad luck for her, I thought, to get the operator living at the exact house she decided would be her target.
What's your name and which room are you in right now? I'm Marielle. I'm looking out my bedroom window right now. They're still here.
My blood started to boil. How senseless this person must be. It was obviously a friend. I raised my voice this time, warning them again about how badly they will regret their actions if they prank call again. And just as I was about to hang up, Marielle started to beg me frantically not to. For whatever reason, something inside me was telling me to listen. I decided to give her one more chance, and then I would send the police over to arrest this prank caller, and at the very least give her a slap on the wrist.
Okay, Marielle, describe the bedroom to me. What? You heard me. What color are the curtains? Is there any furniture, lamps? Tell me what you can see.
Though I've known said friends for quite a while now, none of them have ever been in my house. I prefer it that way, not because I don't trust them to enter my home, but because I'd never been fond of having guests. Neither did my parents when I was little. It's something they have had transferred over to me. There's no way this person would...
Purple curtains, double bed with a grayish cover with white lines, a wardrobe, and a small bedside table with a nightlamp on it.
She went on for a few seconds while I listened, completely dumbfounded. She was describing exactly how my bedroom looked. Her next words snapped me out of the confusion.
Miss, why are you asking me this? There's someone outside my house!
I couldn't answer her immediately. This was so surreal, nothing like anything I'd experienced so far in this job. This woman, apparently named Marielle, who sounded just like me, claiming she lives at my house and is standing in the exact same bedroom as mine, was talking to me. Marielle, how did any of this make sense?
I tried to keep cool, continued talking to her normally, but I could hear the shakiness in my own voice when all I could mutter was, okay, ma'am, before falling silent again and rummaging around my desk drawer to find my personal phone. My ex-husband had installed security cameras facing the front, back and sides of our house at different angles. After some people started talking about the same car driving around their house multiple times during the day and night, but nothing ever came out of it. I didn't hurt to have the extra security measure, but I never thought I'd actually have to use it.
I opened the app while this Marielle kept repeating hello, but I was too preoccupied to answer. I admit my heart had dropped into my stomach at this point. It only got worse after I opened the camera app. My bedroom window looked out one of the sides of my house, and right beyond the wooden fence was someone pacing left and right while looking up at the house. I finally snapped back.
Okay, Marielle, okay. I'm sending a patrol car your way immediately. Excuse the hold-up.
I tried to regain my composure, but still could hear my words trembling as I spoke them out loud. While the person wasn't trespassing and technically not committing any crime, what puzzled me more was that I was currently completely free of any alcohol or drug influence. Was talking to myself.
Move away from the window to make sure he doesn't see you. Do you?
I paused for a moment before taking in how ridiculous the whole situation was again, and finished my question, listening intently for the answer that was about to come from another Marielle, not sure what I was expecting to hear.
Do you have rope in your house? You could use it in case this intentions become malevolent.
Malevolent.
Oh, my bad. I mean, The only thing I can think of right now are the knives in the kitchen, and there's an old pistol, but it's in the basement, and the door is outside. Am I going to have to defend myself?
She sounded stressed out as she asked, but I was more shocked to hear the exact words I'd said in reply to this question. I have a pistol and it's in the basement, the door to which is outside. Still unable to comprehend all of this, I told Marielle, or me I guess, to check again and see where the person is and reassured her that the patrol car is only a few minutes away from the house. Only now did I finally look around, thinking that I must be dreaming, and caught the gaze of a fellow coworker who had his eyebrows raised. He must have been listening into my conversation and see me acting off, but I tried to smile to the best of my ability and nod, quickly returning my focus to my screen before I could see his reaction.
Marielle, do you see them still?
I inquired but got no response for another few moments. Then she stumbled on her words and I could hear the door creaking open just as my bedroom door did, and her footsteps rapidly moving from room to room, presumably looking out other windows.
No! He's not out there now. I don't know where he is. Oh God, did I miss him? Is he coming towards my house?
She sounded like she was on the verge of a panic attack. I did my best to calm her down while searching for the person myself, switching between different cameras. And when I found him, I saw him in the backyard with an arm raised in the middle of the air. Moments later, a rock flew towards my kitchen window, and though the cameras have no audio to them, Mariel's shriek was perfectly timed in sync with the impact.
Holy shit! He just broke one of my windows!
She began frantically and began raving inaudibly into the phone.
Marielle! Get to your attic, quickly! The police will be at your place soon. Use anything you find up there to block the way in.
I yelled back, raising my voice loud enough to overshadow hers and to probably scare my coworkers with the sudden decibel increase. Whatever was happening, it was real. There was someone outside my house who had just broken a window, and I was in there, afraid for my life. The advice I gave her was exactly what I would have done. The attic hatch is in the middle of the hallway leading from the living room to my bedroom, giving her enough time to get up there and block it afterwards, considering this person had to pass through the kitchen and then through the aforementioned parts of the house. By my calculations, Mariel had enough time to get there and use the pent-up trash and whatever else she could find to hold the hatch shut for the little time left that police needed to arrive. I could hear Mariel slam the door behind her and running down the laminated hallway towards the hatch, and then I gasped audibly as she yelled into the speaker and the phone dropped with a loud thud. Her footsteps becoming more and more distant as another heavier set made their way faster and faster through the hallways and closer to the phone.
Are you still there? The police are almost at your location.
Was all I could think to say in my last effort to scare whoever the person was. A few seconds of silence, and I expected to hear something, anything, some scary cryptid remark or at least breathing, but there was nothing. My last words into the receiver was hello before the other end hung up. I couldn't believe what had just happened and must have sat at my desk staring into the screen for at least 2 minutes before the same coworker from earlier, Connor, came and put his hand on my shoulder, prompting me to scream and push him away. The entire office looked our way and he put his hands up in the air. I apologized profusely more times than I could count. Everyone turned back to their desk and Connor lowered his hands.
Tough call?
He asked and leaned on my desk, handing me a chocolate bar.
You seemed really on edge the entire time, and, well, this just confirms it.
I didn't even acknowledge the snack after I looked at it and just met his eyes again, not even knowing what to say. I began with a few disconnected words before excusing myself and leaving the shift early. It's a little after 2:30 a.m. as I finish writing this. I booked myself a room into the most crowded hotel I could find, with the room closest to the stairs leading to reception, shutting the blinds and locking the door twice. I'm afraid to go home, and I don't know who to talk to about this without sounding completely insane. I've heard nothing from the responding police officers yet, and I don't know what to do about it tomorrow. Anyone reading this, please believe me, and even if you don't, can you offer me some advice?
Well, we have to come back to this.
Edit. I just woke up. It's 4:16 a.m. 5 minutes ago, 2 calls from someone with no caller ID woke me up, but I didn't pick up. I'm afraid for my safety. I was having anxiety reading that.
Yeah, and you kept reading too. You were very invested. I want to come back to this one for sure.
Yes, me too.
I like this one. See if I can. Yeah, this was a good story. I want to come back to it. It got posted 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago it was posted. This was actually pretty interesting. I liked it.
That was good.
Okay, so the gem that we found. I'm a 911 operator. Yesterday, my coworker got a call from herself. This is part 2 of yesterday's story. On the same thread called I'm a 911 operator. Earlier this night, I got a call from myself. So this one is from the perspective of her coworker. So this is probably the guy from the story. So this is part 2 of the story. I'm gonna go ahead and read this. Make a little mini series in between videos, bigger videos that I've done. And this is like very new. This creator has just started putting this on like 2 days ago. So if you're watching this video on January 15th, 2025, it is very new. All right, here I'm gonna start off this time.
Okay.
So part 2 of 911 operator. I sat on the cushioned armchair in the hotel room Mariel had rented after running off inexplicably from her shift last night. I called her earlier this morning after finishing work without even going to sleep. She's always been level-headed, and her acting like this made me feel concerned. I couldn't just let it go, and now here I was listening to how she apparently spoke to herself last night on the phone. Mariel, are you sure these night shifts aren't a bit too much for you?
Though I wanted to trust her, what she was describing to me sounded straight out of a book or a movie, and the lack of sleep really takes a toll too big for you to even comprehend.
I'm not saying you're making this up, but maybe just you remember it wrong.
Mariel paced around the room with one hand resting on her hip and the other held up to her forehead, pushing her hair back and exhaled loudly.
I know how insane this sounds, Connor, but I'm telling you, I'm 100% certain about what I heard and saw on those cameras. There was another me in that house last night, and some person broke my damn window. How can you be taking this so calmly? We haven't even heard from the responders yet, and it's been more than 6 hours.
She was right. There'd been no info back to us on that call. Nothing on the news, no contact from the officers. When I used Mariel's phone to try and call back whoever it was that woke her up, there was nothing. I told her that while I can't explain the call myself, I agreed that it was too dangerous for her to go back home, considering there was an intruder. I offered her to stay at my place for the next few days, and while she agreed and thanked me, she wouldn't let the topic of her other self go. I understood her to some extent, but I was still skeptical.
So, I offered her to go back to my place so I can change and grab the pistol I kept locked in my safe and a flashlight. Then we could go look for the officers at her house ourselves. She was afraid, but I think the curiosity and the stress about what might have happened to the supposed other her prevailed and was what made her agree to this plan. I waited for her to get her things out of the room, and I drove back to my house in the meantime, asking her about any details she might have missed about the call to make sure we were going in prepared.
The drive to her house was not long, and during it I tried to play some music to lighten the mood or talk to her about anything I could distract her, but all I got was 1 or 2 word responses while she was lost in thought looking out the window. When we arrived, I parked in her driveway, where just outside sat the policeman's car with 2 front doors slightly ajar, but no sign of them. Mariel's breathing fastened, and I put a hold on her shoulder to calm her down. Then, without being said, both of us got out of the car.
The first thing we did was walk up to the police car and see if there was anything out of the ordinary, like slashed tires or any signs of a struggle. But it was parked there like any other vehicle, and there was nothing obvious on the inside. What I discovered, though, was the radio, which, while it didn't look like it had been tampered with, was not working. I walked back toward the house and called for Marielle to walk with me as we circled it from afar, flagging the broken window leading into the kitchen. I was just about to suggest calling 911 again, and we have them go into the house while we wait outside, but Marielle snapped before I could even begin to speak. Why the hell is nothing being done about this?
She raised her hands in the air and turned to look at me, her blue eyes conveying a mixture of anger and confusion.
2 policemen have disappeared since responding to this call. There was an intruder in my home, and there was literally a clone or something of me inside while I was at work. Tell me why we haven't heard anything about this, Connor. I don't know, okay? If anything happened like you said it did, it just doesn't make sense.
I cut her off before she started talking again, knowing that she'd jump me for accusing her of lying.
But, we really should just let the authorities handle this. We're not professionals.
Mariel tried to get something out, but just cut herself off and shook her head. I thought she had given in and would do the logical thing and take my advice. Instead, she turned and walked a few steps towards her back door and then looked back at me.
What are you doing? I'm going in. No one's going to listen to me anyway, and I'm not about to leave here without at least some kind of answer or clue.
I stared at her completely taken aback and waited a few seconds to see if she would say anything else, but she just stayed there looking right at me. I knew deep down she was hoping I would say that I'm going in with her. Well, before I did that, I tried to convince her to think this through again, but that was obviously not going to work, so that's just what I did. But I have to admit, I was getting nervous myself.
The back door was unlocked and led into a different hallway than the back door was unlocked and led into a different hallway than the one she'd told me about, which I figured out by the lack of an attic hatch. Marielle told me the layout of her home, and we walked together, me in front with my gun drawn as I called out asking if anyone was there. She smacked my shoulder and raised her arms with wide eyes, and I shushed her. We had no way of knowing if there was any intruder or police officers or both, and I didn't want blood on my hands, no matter whose. As you might expect, we get no response from anywhere and heard nothing that might indicate there being anyone else with us.
We found nothing out of the ordinary in the rooms of Marielle's home, but the hallway with the attic had some things worth noting. The first being what we immediately saw, a phone on the ground, and slight marks like scratches on the walls, which were the only signs of anything out of the ordinary. Well, beside the broken window.
That must be what she used to call us. It's identical to mine.
She grabbed it and tried turning it on, but it had no battery left. The screen was slightly cracked at the top right edge, probably where it first impacted the floor.
What the hell is going on, Connor? Calm down.
I began, knowing that she wouldn't listen.
There's only the attic and the basement left for us to look through. We can check up there and then go down last. How's that sound? Yeah, okay. But the basement's locked. If the key hasn't been moved, it must be in one of my bedroom drawers. Alright, I'll check out the attic while you grab the key. There's no point in both of us going up there. I raised the gun in the air while reaching for my flashlight. Don't worry about me. That is a terrible idea. Terrible idea.
None of that sounds like a good idea.
No. I'm gonna go. We should split up. It's just like Scooby Doo. What's the fucking Fred and
Daphne?
oh yeah, it's like Fred saying, "Me and Daphne are gonna split up. You go check the basement." Me and Daphne are gonna go into the bedroom for a couple hours and inspect it, while you guys search the rest of the house. Sound like a plan? Okay.
Solid. Mariel nodded and began walking towards the bedroom, disappearing past the door after I started ascending into the attic. There was nothing on top of the hatch, which I realized before even looking around to see because of how easily I was able to lift it open, confirming our suspicions that the other woman hadn't made it up there before the end of the call. What immediately struck me as odd was the immediate drop in temperature there. Yeah, it was an attic, but the difference must have been at least 10 degrees. I shivered as I made my way up and started shining the light across the entire space. Behind empty old boxes, worn out furniture, and the various other items not worth noting, there was no place for anyone to hide up here, or at least not if you asked me, because I looked through every nook and cranny there was and found no traces of anyone or anything. Looking back, I started descending the ladder and called for Mariel, but got no response. I wasn't immediately concerned because the hatch was left open, and if anything had happened, I'd have heard. Waiting a few seconds and remaining without a response, I made my way towards the bedroom, which was just as empty as when we looked in there together. Yeah, because it was a terrible idea.
Called for her again and started looking through each of the rooms. While doing that, I paused for a moment to listen, but not for Mariel. The background noises from earlier, like birds or passing cars, had all stopped. Again, that didn't strike me as odd at the moment. Looking through the rest of the rooms proved fruitless, and I thought that maybe she had gone outside, probably waiting for me by the basement, so I made my way to the back door and opened it. It led me back into the living room. I blinked and looked behind me. I was certainly in the same corridor we were first in when we entered the house. Despite that, I shut the door and turned back to exit from the front of the house. And when I opened that one, I was greeted with the kitchen. I just stood there for a few seconds, unable to take in what was happening, and rubbed my eyes, but here I was still inside the house, standing right at the front door, which was leading me back inside. I walked through and approached the window that was broken by the intruder. Instead of the green yard, the street with parked cars or neighboring houses, I was greeted by a view into the bedroom. Ooh, okay. It's like a parallel universe inside the house. It's like, wow, okay.
So is it another? Okay, we'll get to that after. My heart started pounding, and I admit that I was on the verge of a panic attack. I started sweating profusely, and my heart felt like it was about to jump out of my chest as I began running from room to room, door through door, trying to get out again and again, finding myself in different parts of the house. I had to stop and sit down a few moments before I passed out, and while regaining my composure, I saw something odd. Not that this whole situation wasn't far more disturbing than I'm giving credit for. I noticed that the walls of the living room where I was currently sitting had changed color, and half the table was just missing. Like, imagine a bug or a glitch in some video game where half a piece of furniture is there and the rest is gone. The table had two of its legs on which it was completely standing fine, but the surface was cut diagonally and the rest of it just wasn't even there. I waved my hand through where it was supposed to be, and they just swiped right through the air.
Okay.
That's like anxiety inducing.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I would be freaking out. I'm like, dude, I can't get out of this house. I continued walking through different rooms, and the changes began getting more and more apparent. Like the chandelier in the kitchen was upside down and sitting in the middle of the air, attached to nothing. It was physically there, and when I tried pushing it, it wouldn't move, but I could feel and touch it. I don't know how long I spent in this place, but for the first time, in what was now feeling like hours, I heard a noise breathing. Rapid, scared breathing, just like mine. When I found myself there, it was coming from the neighboring room. I couldn't say which one, as by now it had been a gamble where I'd stumble at. I ended up appearing back into the bedroom, where I was greeted by a gruesome sight of a tall man with torn clothing and wounds. Superficial and deep, all over his body, lying in a messy pool of blood and something dark mixed with it, some of which was also splattered on the wall behind him, where I saw the same scratch marks as the ones on the walls of the hallway earlier. It was if I had an instantaneous flashback after seeing him. What remained of his clothing was the same as what the person who broke into Mariel's home was wearing. He was still alive, but his eyes were red and he screamed as he saw me. I did the same in reaction. No! 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 Get away! Get away from me!
He yelled through pained inhales and tried to muster up strength to throw one of his shoes at me, but it only got over his leg and was barely any further away from him.
Get the fuck away! I'm not going to hurt you. Look, You're not real. Not real.
Taking the risk of giving him a heart attack that would finally take him out of his misery, I rushed by his side and held my hands in the air, yelling loud enough to silence him. I started shooting every question I could think of at him, and when he stopped trying to talk over me, I grabbed him by the shoulders, shaking him. He looked as if he was about to faint any moment. I asked him what this place was, why he broke in, if he knows Mariel, and I could barely get any coherent response out of him until he grasped my right arm with strength he didn't look like he had when he left me shocked and silent. During my time of silence, he spoke. Wait, you saying not real? The guy the intruder?
Yeah, he's saying like you're not real to the guy who's in the house to the guy who's narrating right now. Not people. Fake.
Before I could inquire or he could reveal more himself, I was suddenly thrown into the wall next to the man. I couldn't even yell in reaction to the pain. Another blow struck me right in the ribs, and the pain was so unexpected and strong, I held my eyes shut and clutched my sides. Amidst the chaos, I could hear the man scream, and suddenly what I assumed happened was that he got thrown away. His screams continued but faded in the distance, and I heard a crash and glass breaking. Mere moments later, just as I was about to open my eyes, I was grabbed by one of my arms and flung right back out the room's door.
Suddenly, all the noise stopped and I stayed curled in a ball on the floor, tears of pain streaming down my cheeks as I held my hands over where I'd been kicked or punched or whatever happened. I assumed I had at least 2 broken ribs, and I couldn't barely touch the area without sharp pain coming in. When I opened my eyes, I found myself back in the attic, but this time I could hear Mariel yelling for me downstairs. I slowly got myself back up, holding my side while descending back down into the corridor. I could hear the neighborhood sounds had returned. I'm here! I shouted as I sat on the floor while waiting for her to arrive. When she did, she grasped and ran at me, putting her hands on my shoulder, asking me what happened and how I got hurt. We have to get out of here.
She helped me get up, allowing me to lean on her as we started walking out.
I'll explain at the hotel. I allowed her to drive, and she kept asking me questions in the meantime, but I was too exhausted and in pain to respond coherently. We arrived at the parking lot, and she turned to face me, looking me in the eyes, saying something I did not even register at the point. I was too caught up in a small detail that I knew I would have noticed for all time I've known her. Mariel, since when are your eyes 2 different colors?
What?
I think he's in the parallel universe now.
I think so too.
I think he's in the parallel universe now. I don't think he's in the same universe he was before. This story is good.
I want to know
this author. I gotta message him because it says that I need to ask for permission, so I'm gonna do that real quick. But I really like this story.
Where does it say that?
On the side, it's just the rules of the Reddit.
Oh, that is terrifying. I was having anxiety yesterday reading the first part, but this time something about not being able to get out of like the house, like a maze, but worse.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
That's terrifying.
That was good.
I really like this one. I'm really excited to see what happens next. I want to keep, every time he posts one, I want to record it and keep going with it because I like this so far. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I like this one. So this will be like a little mini series that I want to do between. See what we got going on. This story is good though. I really like this story.
Really good.
So, yeah, we'll continue this for sure. Part 3 will probably be like tomorrow. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know.
Cool. All right, thanks for showing up for a little bit, and I will talk to you later. Right, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I did. Hope you guys did too. There will be more parts to this. So hopefully we get one pretty soon. But until then, like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, do all that stuff. It all helps out. I'm getting stuff on Spotify now too, so go check that out as well. And until next time, hope you guys sleep well. So corny. Good night.